You had to have seen regular people, i.e. like me as an investor, not somebody who's in the business like yourself, not somebody who does the service, make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I like let's tell people where they make all these mistakes. Where did they go wrong? Like,
right.
It's not. I get it. Like there is the putting all the documents and then doing the application. It sounds easy, and again, this is coming from a guy that like if I could do something like myself, at times I will.
Well, let me
this
ask you
whole
a question.
process, I don't screw around with.
Would you represent yourself in court?
No, 100% I wouldn't, right?
Would you do your own taxes if it's complicated? So that's basically what we are.
And look, we'll talk about the fees if you're comfortable. If you're not, you can get like there's a link there on this on this video. Get in touch with Michael's team. The fee is like a joke.
It's
in terms
very
of
nominal.
When you're fooling around with 24K, like you want to get this $24,000 back. And I've heard from so many clients that purchased before us, when they came before they got into my world, or maybe they bought at a different building and they didn't even, like to your point, they forgot to do it.
Right.
They didn't even get around to doing it, where you have a vested interest in getting it done because you're gonna charge a fee. But where do people make some major mistakes that could essentially, maybe I'm wrong, but you'll tell me, could essentially not get them the rebate back, period?
So the biggest mistake they do is put in the wrong type of lease. They'll have it leased out for 8 months, or they'll have it leased out monthly. You know, even though the guy might be there for a year, it's showing a month-to-month lease. You're done.
So if somebody has an Airbnb, like if somebody turned it into an Airbnb,
they're not entitled to the rebate.
they're not, and as we met, but then they're completely screwed. Right, like because they don't have a 1-year lease. Like
right. So they just don't. They can't recoup the 24 back.
Very important for me.
The other biggest
advise my clients
absolutely.
about that. Right.
Yeah. No. Airbnb is your. Listen. At the end of the day, if an investor thinks he could make more money at an Airbnb than leasing it out for a year and getting a $24,000 rebate, more power to him. You know, you got to look at the
but you got to
numbers.
make up that 2 Gs a month. Right.
So exactly.
Your cash flow better account for that. Like
exactly.
That's an expense that you're not going to be able to get back. Okay, right. So number one is people
wrong lease.
Just the wrong lease. Sounds simple, right? Yeah. Like, oh my God, like you think you'd have you have the 1-year lease agreement, put it into place. Okay.
Another huge mistake is, especially nowadays, is a lot of leasebacks. Tridel was known for leasebacks.
Let's get into this because there's a lot of those coming
up.
Leasebacks. What happens in this situation?
So basically, a leaseback is saying to the government that you, the investor, are now the builder.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Yep.
So you're still entitled to the $24,000 rebate. However, there's a tax payable on the fact that you're the builder again.
Okay.
To explain that to you would probably confuse more people than it should.
Talk me through it.
Well, basically what they're saying at the government is if you are leasing back, you're not actually the owner of the property, really.
Get it?
Right?
Yep.
You're relying on someone to pay you a rent every month, and it may not be rented out. That person, so for instance, Tridel will sign a lease back. They'll guarantee you 3 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, they'll start paying you $2,000 a month for the rent. Mm-hmm. Well, who's there? What are they doing? Are they renting it out to somebody daily, weekly, monthly? How are they doing it? So what a lot of people will do is they'll take the leaseback arrangement that they have, that agreement that they have, they'll submit that to the government. Well, that now has completely screwed them. Not only are they not going to see the 24 completely back, they're going to usually owe a little bit of money back on HST. So what I always tell my clients is, you know, and that's what a lot of people do. They'll go in with that lease back, think they're doing it great, they'll get refused from the government.
Yeah.
What we need to see is we need to see the sublease from that lease back.
Okay, so let's just take this slowly because I got clients who we've done lease back deals. And so if, as the investor, the lease at times when they take possession, like when actually occupancy happens, the lease is written that the builder is the landlord.
Correct.
And Joe Blow is the tenant. Not my investor. It's just that it's through the builder and the tenant's name. The investor's name doesn't even show up there.
Well,
what happens in that situation?
Well, so what you need to see is the sublease between the the leaseback company acting on behalf of the owner
Got it.
with the tenant, showing a 1-year lease.
Okay.
So usually what the leaseback shows is the agreement between the builder and the owner.
Right. I've
That's
seen
typically
that.
what
Yep.
the leaseback
Yep.
is.
Now, but if we see it the other way, Michael, the way that I just explained it, with the leaseback company / builder and the tenant, are we okay as the investor?
Well, that's
though?
now the sublease. That's not the original. That's not the lease
Essentially,
that
that
they
is the
have,
sublease.
right?
That is the sublease.
Because
Okay,
the leaseback will have an arrangement with the owner of the property,
Right.
which will specify all the terms and conditions.
Yes.
That's one document.
Yep.
That's a document that people will send into the government for the rebate, and the government will say, no, you're now the builder. You're no longer a recipient of the rebate. We have to calculate the tax, look at the fair market value, make all the calculations, and then see what we owe you. So if you bought a property that doubled in value, you're screwed.
Right.
Like, you're losing money on the deal.
Yeah.
So the sublease is the important one. So that will be with the leaseback company, aka the builder,
Yep.
acting on behalf of your homeowner and a tenant,
Okay.
showing a 12-month lease
Now,
minimum.
when you speak to a client, my client calls you and says, "Okay, I've been introduced to you by Jazz. I want to do the whole rebate service." When are you asking? Because some of these guys might not even know, like, in terms of if there's a lease back or not. When does that come into play? Like, what question do you ask? Like, let me see the lease agreement?
Yeah,
And that's simply just kind of, and
Yeah.
then if you see a lease back company or a builder's name, you know something's
Well,
up.
I'll
and-
know right away that
and
it's
then
not a
you'll need
proper lease.
And then you'll
It's
need a sublease from
And then
it.
I'll say,
Okay.
then this won't work, we need a sublease. So I can't tell you how many calls I get from clients that aren't my clients who have put in a rebate either with their lawyer or their accountant, and they've done it wrong.
Okay.
So that's a huge one.
Yeah. Now, and I can see how that all kind of happens, right? Because the lawyer's up to a lot of stuff, the accountant's up to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and
it's
most
not
of the
something
lawyers,
that they do.
I mean, with all due
You've been at
respect
it
to
for-
lawyers,
Yeah.
they know nothing about the rebate.
Well, look,
at all.
I mean, a lawyer that we use on a regular basis, that's helped a majority of my clients. There's two of them that we go back and forth with. Sean Danduwal from RSED CD Law Firm and Mark Weisletter from...
So Mark is a big client of
I
mine.
was going to say Mark
I think
Weisletter.
that's how we originally
That's exactly how we got
connected.
connected. Mark Weisletter from realestatelawyers.ca
Yeah.
put us in connection with you. We were actually testing another company out before we even knew about you, and Mark just swore by you, and we said, let's do it, let's move forward. And now a lot of our people are obviously working with you. Is the fact that even as someone as like Mark Weisletter, BNN, CTV News, like all over the media.
We
he
were on
does
CTV News as
There
well.
you go. I love that. I can see why. I mean, this is by far one of the most confusing processes, for lack of a better word, in a whole real estate transaction. So, and what I was trying to say is that with Mark having such a big practice and doing it for such a long time, the guy can probably do this himself.
He calls me.
But he works with someone like yourself, right?